Hello and welcome to the Just Mates podcast, where we aim to destigmatise men not speaking up about mental health. Remember to follow our social pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Just Mates Pod. You can listen to and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor and Apple Podcast. All links are provided in the description. In today's episode, we discuss toxicity. I think we should also let the viewers know that this is our first podcast together. We are in the same room.
Woo! Oh my God! Wow!
Yeah, so this is the first one of many, but yeah, because of lockdown, we've obviously been doing it remotely. But yeah, this is our first one together.
Yeah, we're chilling in my room and yeah, this is a bit weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I should be looking at you or looking at the floor.
Just don't look at me.
Bruh. But so today's one is about toxicity.
Yeah, so why toxicity? We really should probably call it toxic people, but I like the whole single word thing to represent and encapsulate what's going to be talked about. So I assume most people know what toxic people are. So they're anyone who's abusive, unsupportive, or just unhealthy to be around.
Negative vibes, really.
So someone that brings you down more than up is probably the best way to describe it. And there's going to be loads of different types of toxic people that you can come across. There's not just one kind of strain of individual. They can come in all shapes and sizes, and you probably been around loads of toxic people. I know I have. Yeah,
and I think even after we done our research for this, we read some descriptions and we already related it to some people we know of or know that are like this.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what people think, if they know anyone like these people.
We probably don't want to mention their actual names.
Sorry, school teacher from Passmore's.
You're still getting flashbacks.
Anyway, so shall we kick it off with the first? Well, initially this was going to be about friendships and toxic people in our friendship groups, but I think, Sam, you suggested there's a variety of people. It doesn't have to be just friends, and we can cover a load of different bases here.
Yeah, because they can either be, friends, family members, or even people you kind of associate with on a daily basis who aren't your friends. So they can be anyone, or you could walk into Tesco and spot a toxic person, speak to them, or you could be working with them, or it could be anyone. But so we've got a link here which we'll put in the description. Never heard of this website before, but it looks pretty good. It's called scienceofpeople.com, and the first one, so they've got 7 types of toxic people, and we'll just quickly run through these, and then me and Naf will kind of try and relate to whether or not we have ever come across someone like this and how that's affected us, and what's the kind of the best way to get over these people or just ignore them.
And we might even notice, I don't know if you will, Sam, but we might even realise that we have done some of these toxic things without even meaning to.
Yeah, I probably have, to be honest.
There's a couple of things that we might not be like it all the time, but say if we're in a bad mood and we take our mood out on people, we've been these type of people. And I think reading through it will just help us acknowledge that when we are like that, we can do something about it and stop ourselves.
Yeah, because you yourself can have... you could look at it like that. You have like toxic traits that you could probably, once you identify, you want to get rid of, because that will not only help you, that will help people around you and essentially put up with you. If you do have that. So let's have a look at the first one, which is probably something that most people relate to. I know I do. So the first one is called Conversational Narcissist, or should we just say narcissists? So someone that typically keeps interrupting you. That doesn't mean they're a narcissist straight away off the bat, but it could be. What did you say to me? Have you ever been trying to talk to someone who won't let you get a word in? Conversational narcissists love to talk about themselves or just hear themselves talk. They don't ask any questions, they don't wait for your responses, and they won't shut up.
I can already think of about 20 people.
You're thinking about me, aren't you?
Shut up.
In a relationship, these people will end up being completely self-centered and will never be attentive to your needs.
Should we sum that up, really?
Yeah.
I guess from that, I get it as a selfish person, so you try and tell them a problem, or you just speak about your day and they just turn it around on them.
Yeah, so it's like you'd go to them and say, I don't know, making up a name here, hi Ben or something. Hi Ben, I'm having...
Sorry, all the Bens in the world. I'm
Sorry,
not saying
Ben.
You're toxic.
Where are you? No, so... Yeah, you say, hi Ben, I'm having like a really bad day. I've had a really stressful day at work. And then he goes, what about me? My day's stressful. I do all this and all that, do all that.
It's like when you say to someone, I've been to Tenerife, and they say, I've been to 11 Reef. So, I don't know if you've heard that before. So, it's just one of them one up on you things, I think.
Never heard of that. Did you just come up with that?
No, I'd like to say I have, but the disclaimer, I've heard it before.
That's brilliant. So, yeah, I come across all those types of people all the time, almost on like a weekly basis.
Yeah. I think a lot of these things we're going to talk about, people don't realise they are like this.
Yeah.
So there are people that you talk to and what you really want is just someone to listen, and instead they make it about something that's relatable to them.
Yeah.
And then when they talk about their own problems...
Yeah.
they've kind of forgotten what you've even told them about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of draining when all you want to do is be heard.
Yeah, but these people are dangerous, to be honest.
Yeah.
How do you get around these types of people? Like, I think if you notice someone, I think you should give people the benefit of the doubt. So if they do this maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe they themselves are having like a stressful time. I wouldn't label them as a narcissist in the first instance, but if it's like a repetitive thing where you get every time you go to them, say you go to them 5 times and 4 out of 5 of those times they don't actually ask you how you feel, then you could probably pin that down to them just being a little bit narcissistic. And the best way to kind of get around that would just be distance yourself from that person as much as you can. And
maybe if it is someone you want to keep around, just keep your conversations to a minimal. Yes. Don't talk about personal things. Don't talk about... Just tell them... Just speak to them casually as you would, and maybe just lower your expectations of them, so then you won't get let down that, I've tried to tell them something and they've just come back and twisted it on them.
The best way to kind of deal with narcissists as well is because they feed off of... It's not drama, but it sounds sickening, but it's true. They feed off of your pain. They like when you react. So respond, don't react. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just say something to them, but never react to them because they like that.
I mean, I don't think you can ever get away from this, because there are these type of people everywhere you go. And even if, say, you go to a supermarket and someone's there to do their job and they turn it around and be like, well, can't you just get it yourself, kind of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that happens, but I think you just learn to understand what the type of person is, and then you control your own conversations with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the conversational narcissist.
Yeah, just kind of, don't devote too much energy to them and take things they say with a pinch of salt, because they probably can help it, but they're not making an effort to, so you shouldn't make an effort to be emotionally involved with them.
No.
Just look after yourself.
But if you do feel like it's someone that is very important to you, but they don't realise this trait, maybe have a word with them. Mm-hmm. Just speak to them in a subtle way and be like, I don't know if you've noticed that you do this, but sometimes people are trying to tell you their own problems, and we kind of wish you'd just listen and acknowledge it instead of trying to do a one-up system.
And if they're a decent person, then they'll reverse what they've done and they will actually listen to you.
Yeah.
But if they are a genuine narcissist, one of the things that narcissistic people hate is being exposed.
Yeah.
And if you exploit their flaws, that's something that they will do everything in their power to.
And they become defensive over it. And they're like, well, no, I'm not like this.
Yeah.
But if it does come to that, then I think
suck them off.
Yes, that's what I mean. Block them out of your life and just don't associate associate with them, because the more negative people you're around, it impacts your own mood, your own attitude. So if you wake up in a bad mood, as we've discussed before, don't let that 1 minute of sadness or anger dictate your whole day.
Yeah.
So if you've got one bad person in a bunch of like 5-6 people, that is going to be draining. So just try and just stay away from them, really.
Yeah, just look after yourselves and them.
Yeah, so like one metaphor I'll just give before we go on to the next one is, if you have we've probably heard this a ton of times, if you have a bunch of apples and one apple is bad and you keep them in the bunch of apples, eventually all 5-6 of the other apples are going to turn bad.
That's true.
But if you take the apple away, the rotten apple, the rest of them are going to be fine, and you've removed the toxicity.
Never thought about it like that.
So, it's just, there's so many ways you can look at it. So if there is someone like this that is not approachable, just get rid of them.
You often find that with narcissists as well, they kind of they're like predators, so they kind of pick up on people that are quite vulnerable and have low self-esteem. So that's kind of up to you in the sense to kind of look after yourself and recognize what they're trying to do, and realize that you're worth more than that.
Yeah.
So,
and you'll notice that these kind of people will only have friends that are lower than them.
Yeah. Or
that they see as lower than them. So you'll find someone, say for example, it's the owner of a company. Imagine it as a scale of owner of a company. The way they'll see everyone else is as an employee, which is lower than them.
Yeah.
So you'll notice that this type of person, they won't have people that are equal to them around them.
Yeah. You do find a lot of narcissists in hierarchies.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it gets to your head.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah, you don't always have to stay around with these people. There's always a way out.
Yeah.
So,
and that just helps you mature as a person as well.
Yeah, just respect yourself and move on, pretty much. So we'll go on to the next one now. I've never heard of this one before, but it's called the Strait Jacket. So the Strait Jacket is someone who wants to control everything and everyone around them, so control freak. They want to be in charge of what you do, what you say. And
Sam, let me talk about this one, please.
Okay.
I'm joking, carry on.
You had me there for a second.
I was trying to take control.
Bitch. you know the person I'm talking about? Yeah, I do. They freak out when you disagree with them and won't stop trying to convince you that they are right and you should do what they say. In a relationship, this person will give you no breathing room and constantly nag you until you are in a complete alignment with them. Be careful with these people. They will go after your emotional, conversational and mental freedom until you have nothing left. Get out while you can. I mean, that kind of says it all, really, doesn't it?
It does. I guess this kind of person is, they will get you emotionally attached to you, and what they'll do is, it's like, when you make someone make a hard decision, choose this person or this person, they'll say choose me or this person. You know that I'm always here for you. They'll try and make it sound like they're the good person, and they'll switch it up, and then eventually they'll get you as a person on the other side to leave everybody else, and you're just left with them. So I think, and that's their sense of control, that they've got you to get rid of all your other friends and relationships, and now you're left with just them. Yeah,
that's so true in relationships. And I think that what this doesn't also mention as well, that this can apply to parents. So this can...
so that's a great point, yeah.
Yeah, so you can have parents that have always have an overbearing impact on your life, and that can continue until adulthood, really. And then, if your parent dies or something, you won't know if they control what you like, what your life is, what you do, what you say and what you think, then you're going to be left in the dark when that person passes away or comes out of your life.
You lose that sense of independency, I think. I might touch on it, but it does happen in a lot of the Asian culture where you might have had friends that are of Asian culture, and they tend to have to get permission for everything, even at an older age.
Yeah.
And say you'll speak to them and they'll be like, I need to do this. Sometimes it is a sign of respect, and I know in my case it's definitely a sign of respect. My parents aren't controlling me, but in some other Asian households there are parents that not just specifically Asian, but I'm just giving an example, that still like to control you.
Okay.
And they just want you under their thumb, but then they don't realise how toxic that is, because once you're left alone, say you get married or whatever the situation is, you move house, that person knows nothing. They've not learned anything. They've been so codependent on their parents that they're not able to be independent at all.
No, okay. So...
Do you know anyone of this kind, like someone who controls or has tried to control things?
Yeah, I know a parent of someone that's like this. That's why I kind of said parent, that they kind of... that person becomes so clingy to them, and in order for that person to make all the decisions, do you know what I mean? So it's dependence on that person, and that person tries to control and see what you do all the time, and you're just not your own person. And I think the route out for this is kind of break away from that person, analyze what they're saying to you, and really kind of speak to other people, see if it's reasonable what they're expecting of you, and then get your own independence. I don't know, if you're in with the parents, move out and kind of...
I think that sense of rebelling as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So rebel against them, see how they react.
Yeah.
And more times than not, you'll realise that they will understand how they're being, and once you step away from it, they'll realise, oh shit, I need to give this person some space. And obviously, same with the previous type of person we mentioned, the narcissism. If they are not understanding enough to realise they're being a toxic person, then stepping away is the best option.
Yeah, it will make them realise, because and if they realise that they can't be in control of you, sometimes they might have like an emotional outburst or something, or might say nasty things to get you back in their clutches.
I think, like you mentioned, the parents thing, if your parents, or say even if it's your siblings or family, they start saying things like, well, I've done this for you, I've fed you as a kid, I did all of this, that's kind of reverse psychology. They're trying to emotionally blackmail you so that you think that, oh well, they have done all of this for me. But I think that parent or that person has got to realise that there's got to be a point where they need to be their own person. I think it's a sense of freedom, and that's what they don't like others to have, freedom.
Yeah. But you are right. The main thing to do is to just step away from these people and distance yourself and look after yourself. I think that might be the main takeaway for all of these that we look. Just, you don't need these people in your life.
And if you feel like you are one of these people that you don't realise it, but you like to have control of everything, maybe you should also step back a little, assess the situation, assess the type of people you're controlling. Maybe you're not realising you're taking advantage of the situation, and they're not realising it either. Yeah. And just try and change that trait about yourself.
I mean, we could put it in like an organisational point of view, that if you have a manager which is micromanaging, so they'd obviously control what you do and to an extent what you think and kind of what you say, then in the long term, if you're micromanaging people, you could be using that time more usefully, effectively, doing other things and making more use of your time and making more money if you let people do their own thing.
Yeah. I mean, in that sense, there is a form of delegation, because that's what managers tend to do. You delegate the task, you realise who is more efficient to do what. But until you leave that person to develop as a person and do what you're asking, you are not going to get anywhere. You're just sidestepping.
Yeah, so just step back if you are that type of person and really because I know what it can be like, because I'm not really like a controlling person, but like in terms of my work and stuff, I like to have full like oversight and things and kind of really understand and get my hands dirty and get quite involved with it. So I know how difficult it can be to kind of give away control, but you just got to go like fuck it. Yeah. Like whatever happens, let that person do whatever.
As well, I can relate to that. Like, I do like to not dictate, but if I say something, I kind of want to just go with it. And I've recently, quite a few years now, but obviously as you mature, this changes. But even, for example, the topics of the podcast, we always discuss prior, like what we're going to talk about. Usually, maybe as a youngster, I would have been like, oh, let's talk about this topic. You could say, no, let's talk about this. I'd be insistent. I'd persist that, oh, no, let's talk about this. But, for example, this one, I said about friendships. and then you related it to toxicity, and instead of me saying no, let's just do friendships, we kind of came to a level ground, common ground.
It is common. It is about finding common ground. That's true. And if you can't find common ground with that person, then screw them.
So either you're the bad person or the other person you just need to let go of.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go on to emotional moocher.
Yeah, this was a
I love these. So emotional moocher is a spiritual vampire because they tend to suck out the positivity out of you and bleed you emotionally dry. These are the people who always have something sad, negative or pessimistic to say. In conversations and relationships, they can never see the positive and tend to bring everyone down with them. If you're with someone and they only have bad things to say whenever you see them, watch out, it might not get better. I think this is incredibly relatable to a lot of people in England.
Yeah, it's just like it is definitely
British culture.
It is a British culture. I think the more you surround yourself with negativity, it's just going to impact your mood. And just like anything else, like the apple metaphor I gave, the analogy, remove the bad, the toxic trait, and you'll be left with a good bunch.
Yeah, because I think I definitely know someone who just constantly, even if something good has happened,
they'll be like, oh, well, why didn't this happen instead, kind of thing.
Yeah, they always expect better. Grass is always greener on the other side, and they're just not optimistic at all.
I think as well you'll realise these type of people don't appreciate what's in front of them.
Yeah.
So you say, for example, you tell them, oh, I just got promoted to a creative manager, and they'll be like, well, I thought John the other day got that creative manager role. Shouldn't you have just got the creative director? That kind of thing. And then in your mind you're like, oh shit, should I have got the creative director role, or should I not be happy?
Implanting negative thoughts in your head. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, there are those types of people, and
but there are days where obviously all of this is linked to mental health.
Yeah.
But there are days where some of us can be this emotional moocher, and they'll be like, oh, today I'm just not in a mood. Everything's bringing me down. The weather's shit. Things aren't going right. I'm in a bit of a depressive mode. That doesn't mean you should step away from this person. Maybe try and get them out of this loophole.
Yeah, because you don't know I know, because I've been in this position where I've just been negative and pessimistic about loads of things because I've either been depressed or I've just kind of been incredibly sad. Like there's reasons behind why I'm like that, and it can. You often find people that get older are kind of a bit like this, especially if they feel like they're in a dead-end job because they feel like they can't get away from it, and therefore everybody else has to kind of suffer the consequences of how they're thinking or feeling.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do is just kind of appreciate that person for who they are, respect them for where they've been, talk to them about it, and
be supportive.
And be supportive, yeah, because you never know, you could turn that around, like turn it into a joke. So if they say something negative, make a joke out of it without obviously taking the piss, but just make it lighthearted, and then maybe, it's a difficult one because you don't want them to constantly do that because it's damaging, but at the same time it's difficult because that's how they think.
Yeah. I think as well we need to relate this. Obviously the topic of these podcasts is about men as a whole. I do feel like, and I've seen this not in just my own friendship group, just on social media and stuff, males do struggle to communicate with their other male friends, and if they are facing these kind of issues with the types of people we've just mentioned, I don't think that we would talk to someone and tell them they're being this way.
No.
I feel like we'd just let it get on, and then it will just bottle it up, and then one day that person would just stop talking to us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, I maybe I'm wrong, but I do think girls have this kind of approach where they will talk to their friends like this, and they'll have it out with their friends, whether it's bitchy or not, or whether they're doing it in a negative way. They still will have that conversation. I don't feel like I've ever had this kind of conversation with another guy.
No.
I've got rid of quite a few friends that I don't really talk to now.
Yeah, me too.
But I've never had that conversation with them. I've never told them why we're not friends.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've ever told me anything. And I think it's important as guys, we need to G-check our friends, really.
Yeah, I've been in that circumstance where I've kind of just not bothered with someone because they've kind of been like that, or it doesn't even have to be that negative, that they just had a behaviour that I thought was like,
or the mindset's different.
Yeah, you've just been stupid, and I just couldn't bother with it. And there was this one instance where I spoke to, he was a really, really good friend of mine, and he really pissed me off, really pissed me off, and I told him, and he didn't say anything, so I just sacked him off. So it's just like, you need to kind of find common ground with people, express yourself to them without going over the top and hurting their feelings.
But I think that's a takeaway though. Imagine if you'd had a conversation with him, even if you argued with him and flat out had a massive row, you both would know how you feel.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't know how you felt or how he made you feel, and you don't know what the reason was for him being that way.
Yeah, and if you're in a company setting, I mean, I've been in this instance before, working with like a previous company. I didn't really like the attitude of someone I was working with, and I think this is when I was in retail, on the shop floor. I did not like the attitude of someone. He was negative. It was just not a nice guy to be around, and I obviously can't tell that person directly. So I told management, I said, "Have you noticed this?" And they said, "Yeah, we've noticed it, and we're going to have a word with him." So it might not just be you that have experienced it. You go and speak to other people. And
that's a great point, because if you feel like you can't be confrontational, maybe there's a way around it where you can talk to someone else in your circle that can approach them, that maybe that person isn't that way towards the other person, so they can just say, "Oh, I think I've noticed you be a bit like too emotionally invested and you're trying to control things with this person. Could you just maybe like step away, or just get someone else to have a word if you don't feel like you're confident enough to do it yourself?"
And that person might have more authority, and they might be closer friendship-wise to them, so they'll have more leeway to say things that might make them feel more uncomfortable.
Exactly, and it won't be and actually saying that, even if you feel like it will be an awkward conversation, these awkward conversations need to happen. Just like, for example, the prior podcasts we've done, they are conversations we probably wouldn't have had before.
No.
And I don't recall sitting in a group of guys and talking about these problems before.
No,
I might have done it individually with just one person with me, but as a group, no one really talks about it. Like, I think it's important that you have these awkward conversations. Like, it is very sensitive, but you need to.
You could kind of think about it this way. So if you're putting up with someone that's, I don't know, you could say that they're narcissistic. I'm using it in like a company sort of perspective for now, but you can relate this to outside of that. So if you're dealing with someone that's kind of narcissistic, and that person is creating havoc and misery in your life, it is really kind of your responsibility to sort something out.
Yeah.
Because in the long term, that person could cause more damage to you, or they could cause more damage to other people. So it's kind of your responsibility to sort that out and speak to people and figure out what's going on, because it's either number one, that you're immature and you need to kind of,
grow up.
You need to grow up, and maybe that person's not being it, or the other answer is they are.
You won't know until you speak to them and confront them. And it's just important you have these conversations. If you let it what's the word, fester, if you let it fester and it just deteriorates over time, you are going to realize that now you're going to become the toxic person, and them traits might just like wash off on you, and you might become who you're around.
Because I've had an instance where I've spoken to someone that's just constantly regurgitating negative stuff on a consistent basis, almost like daily, and then you find that as you're speaking to that person, you get used to it,
so it doesn't even feel abnormal.
It doesn't feel abnormal, and then you feel like you can kind of relay that sort of same information to other people, when that's really unhealthy.
Exactly.
So, and it's damaging behind the coronavirus. It might not look damaging if you're like bitching about someone behind their back, but it makes you look weak.
Just like the narcissism, imagine you've got someone who's trying to turn everything around on them with you. Because you're not able to get through to that person, you could now go to another ex person here and relay those emotions to them, and you're not letting them speak now because you want to get your words out. And that could be the knock-on effect, where you'll now have a chain of 5-6 people who are going through narcissism themselves, and they're also relaying them that narcissism themselves as well.
Yeah, and one of the best things you can do for this is, like, if you're living with that person, or if you're, I know circumstances can be quite difficult because, you know, it can take a long time to get a new job. It can be, if you're living with that person, it can take a long time to move out, and it can cause a lot of emotional strain. But in the long term, if you do distance yourself, it can really benefit you.
That is a temporary pain that you might go through. Eventually, you'll realise a massive weight lifted off your shoulders when that person's not around.
Yeah.
Because you've now, maybe you have gone through that shittiness of maybe living in a hotel or living somewhere separate from them, and it's caused you a bit of financial strain. But eventually you'll get yourself back on your feet, that person won't be around, and you'll realise, oh, I'm so much happier now.
Yeah, and you'll notice that you're, because I've been around people that have said negative things, and in return I've kind of relayed that and said the same sort of thing. And then when you distance yourself from that, and you kind of think, God, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But that is good that you're acknowledging it yourself.
Yeah.
I think there's a ton of people that don't acknowledge it, and they don't even realise how bad of a person they're being, which is even more detrimental because nobody's spoken to them. No one's had this awkward conversation with them.
Yeah, you kind of do need to step up to the plate and say something, or get someone else to say something and rationalise and make...
Because if they're making you feel this way, imagine the amount of other people they could be doing the same thing to.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so should we
let's go to the next one. Drama magnet. I'm a bit of a drama magnet, to be honest. So some toxic people are magnets for drama. Something is always wrong, always, and of course, once a problem is solved, another one re-emerges, and they only want your empathy, sympathy, and support, but not your advice. Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
yeah. You offer help and solutions, but they never seem to want to fix anything. Instead, they complain and complain. In a relationship, drama magnets are victims and thrive in a crisis because it makes them feel important. If someone is a beacon of adversity, watch out. You might one day become a part of the drama. Okay, I'd like to say something before. So my uncle told me, I think I told you about this. It's the drama triangle.
Yep. Yeah, I think you mentioned it. Yeah.
So there's three
victim culture.
Yeah, victim culture. So there's three types of people within the drama triangle. So there's I think it's the persecutor, so the person that's aggressing, and then you have the victim who's receiving shit from the persecutor, and then you have persecutor, victim, and then savior. So I think it's called savior or something. So they save the person, like give them sympathy for the victim, sort of thing. You know what I mean? So it all goes round in like a triangle. And then the best thing to do with the people like this is kind of just step off and let them get on with it. Yeah. I think I used the analogy with you with the lifeguard. So now I remember. Yeah. So if someone's drowning in water and the lifeguard swims up to them, and if the person who's drowning grabs onto that lifeguard, the lifeguard will kick them off because he'll realise that both of them are drowning.
And saving himself. Yeah,
he needs to save himself, and that's what you really do need to do.
And that another analogy...
The popo!
That's the sound of the police!
Yeah. Another analogy from that will be this kind of person will shout and scream for a lifeboat. They'll until it comes to them. It will come to them and they'll drown because they don't want to accept the help and they've not taken the lifeboat. But the help was right there, but they felt so self-absorbed that they couldn't even accept the help.
Yeah, there's a term that's coined from, I think it's might be from the Bible, but it's called never cast pearls before swine. So that kind of means don't give words to people that don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you kind of, everything you say, your words are devalued. Like I'm not Christian by any means, but I just thought it was kind of a good saying. So don't, because the more you say to that person and they don't receive it, it just weakens your words, and they respect you more if you back away.
As well, like it can be draining for you as a person, always advising the same thing with someone.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And they're not taking your advice. Sometimes it's people have got to help themselves. So people want to be this kind, I'm not saying everyone, but people tend to be this victim and they want the attention of someone to acknowledge that they're going through something, but it's all self-inflicted because they're not doing anything to help themselves.
Yeah, you could kind of use I think it's the analogy, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, so you could kind of turn things round. You know what I mean? Just don't have that victim mindset. Use what you're going through as something to kind of propel you into to be a better person. So and to be honest with you, like, I am very guilty of people giving me advice and I don't take it.
I'm the exact same, and I've had the same conversation with probably about 3 or 4 different people, and I've realised after a while they've all gave me the exact same advice, but I just haven't acknowledged it. And I know what I need to do to overcome this issue, but there's something drilling in my head telling me that I just can't listen to it. But someone will come to me with the exact same problem I'm having, I'll give them advice, and it's the exact same advice somebody else has given me. So it's like a repetitive circle.
So there is kind of this sort of thing. I remember when people have been giving me advice for several things, and it kind of I kept asking because I wanted reassurance.
That is exactly what it is.
I did want to do the action, but I couldn't bring myself to actually do it. I just wanted people's opinion on it, and that's all I wanted to hear. And I guess you could say I was just garnering a little bit of sympathy, and I'm so freaking guilty of doing it.
But sometimes you do need that. Sometimes you do need 3 or 4 different people telling you the exact same thing. It doesn't mean that any of them are undervalued in your mind. It just means it's taken a bit longer for you to realise that shit, I've got to do this. I've got to listen to what people are saying and actually do something for myself.
For a lot of people, shit's got to hit the fan. So a lot of shit does have to hit the fan before you do something.
But this is dangerous because you might get to a point where you've left it so long and too late that the advice that people are giving you isn't relevant anymore, and you actually can't do anything about it anymore. And it's just like when you don't talk about a problem with someone, you let it build up. Eventually you're going to blow off that steam in such a negative way that them little things that you just didn't talk about before, they have now become one massive thing, and you don't even realise how toxic you are being.
And it's you should really get the independence and not rely on what other people's opinion, because their opinion is probably just as good as yours, or if not less. So
exactly,
you have to make your decisions, and that is like, I know for me sometimes that can be incredibly difficult to do, but until you're thrown in the deep end and something happens, then you just don't know. I mean, that's from my experience anyway, and you just gotta do something about it.
Definitely.
Okay, should we go on to the next one then?
I've already read the brief bit. And
what is this?
This is the JJ.
The JJ is a jealous, judgmental person. My friends and I can spot a JJ from a mile away, and I want to show you how to as well. Jealous people are incredibly toxic because they have so much self-hate that they can't be happy for anyone around them. And typically their jealousy comes out as a judgment, criticism, or gossip. According to them, everyone is awful, uncool, or lacking in some way. If someone starts to gossip jealously about other people, watch out, this person might be toxic, and you never know what they say about you behind your back.
Exactly. So this is I see this tweeted regularly all the time, where say if there's a friendship circle and someone's doing really well, instead of congratulating that person, they start to form their own little circle and be like, oh, did you see what this person's done? How's he done? Why has he done this? Instead of boosting their credibility, they're actually talking about them behind their back, and they're bringing them down because that person has exceeded something you can't. So it's like, oh shit, I'm actually jealous that someone's done this and I didn't. Kind of thing.
I see what you mean with that, and you kind of see that from when people talk about successful people. So I saw this tweet the other day. I don't know if it was from Jeff Bezos or something, but everyone was commenting and going like, or like
This is about the 13 million thing.
something like he's got too much money and stuff, and it's like, yeah, but they were saying, why did he no, well, let me just try and think what the tweet was. The tweet was, when Jeff Bezos goes to hell, we should make him work minimum wage to earn all the money that he currently earns on minimum wage. And I was thinking, yeah, but he was working minimum wage when he started. You're just seeing it from like a snapshot. You haven't seen him build up that company, give people loads of jobs. Not that the jobs are great anyway, I don't really know, but like you know what I mean?
There is a level of responsibility that you have as a high earner that you don't have to.
Yeah.
You really don't. It just depends on the nature of you as a person.
Yeah.
But if you can help, then help.
Yeah, definitely.
But the way that people are saying it is that because of where he's got to, he has to do this.
Yeah.
And it's horrible for that person, because then they're now feeling like they're not doing enough. And maybe there are a ton of people that aren't doing enough.
Yeah.
And maybe Jeff Bezos is one of these people that has got too much money.
I think so.
That's
like,
not done enough for the community.
I mean, he does give jobs and he does provide to charity and he's providing an amazing service, but there is a lot of... He could use a lot of his assets and wealth to do a lot more. I mean, I kind of would, in a sense.
Yes, I would as well, but not everyone thinks the same as you.
Yeah.
And just for example, I'm not defending him, and I don't defend him, but I'm just giving an example. Like when he donated, I can't remember the exact amount. I think it was 25 million or something, or it was something like a high amount. And people started doing these analogies with rice, and they got out like 1,000 rice, and they said to Jeff Bezos or whatever his name is, each rice is worth £500,000, and all he's done is given 10 rice to someone. And he's kept the 900, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what
and they're trying to basically analyse how much he's got, but I think we've got to also see that he doesn't just have disposable income in front of him. There's not just a safe sitting with.
Yeah, he doesn't have like a whole like a room full of well, he might do, but he's Jeff Bezos. But like, you know what I mean? If you use it like that, like he has to sustain and run a company.
And 25 million is still a lot of money for whatever the amount was. It's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
So this is the judgmental, jealous person, really, I guess.
Yeah. And I used to do this with when I had loads of like rich mates that had a car when they were 17.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they have like Audis, and you know, one of my mates had a Mercedes, and then I was the one that was having to like save up and get like a Polo. You know what I mean?
See man driving a German whip.
And I used to be like, fuck, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
I used to get so angry, and then reality, when you look at it, you're just thinking, oh, I'm just being jealous and immature. Like, these people didn't have to work for it, so I shouldn't give them any respect.
But in retrospect, just what you've just said, like, I've had some people like that I got jealous as well, and I started off with a Polo as well. But there are, when you got that Polo, say for example, this person got an A1, an Audi A1.
Yeah.
And 5 years later, you've now got enough money to get yourself an even better car than the A1. But that person that you were jealous of has still got that A1 and hasn't got enough money to get a better car.
Yeah.
So you were jealous of that person, but look at how far you've come, where you're now in a better position than them because you haven't stagnated.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that moment that you might be jealous, it's all circumstantial. You can make your own destiny. You work hard, play hard, and you can get everything that you want eventually. But don't be jealous. Don't be that type of person that brings other people down because they're doing better than you. You've got to be happy for your friends. If my friends succeeded and became a millionaire, I wouldn't expect them to give me money. No. I would be so happy for them that the amount of graft they've put in, they've got so far in life.
I mean, maybe a holiday or something.
Well, maybe a little jacuzzi here and there. But you know what I mean. You've got to. The more your friends excel, they will come and get you.
Well, to be honest, like, I think people need to hear it. Like, nobody owes you shit.
Nobody. I don't owe anyone anything. Sam, you don't owe me anything.
No.
It's just the nature of a person that will determine if they want to help.
Yeah, exactly. Fibber.
The Fibber.
Do you want to talk Fibber?
So, this description, I had a lot of Whoa.
Liars.
Oh, sorry. I had a lot of liars in my life before I learned human lie detection. Liars, fibbers, exaggerators. It's exhausting to have a toxic deceiver in your life. Whether they tell little falsehoods or major lies, it's impossible to trust a liar in a relationship. Dishonesty drains us because we are constantly doubting their words. If your intuition is ringing alarm bells, then watch out, get out before you're lied to.
Okay.
So this sounds like a kind of red flag system to me.
Yeah.
Like, lying is a big red flag. So whether you do get the occasional white lie, but these white lies can now add up to one massive lie that's detrimental to your future, detrimental to your present, and you just don't acknowledge it. So even if you're catching out these people that are doing these little lies here and there, and they think they're protecting you, more often than not, they're just out for themselves, really.
And I can really sympathise with people that kind of tell white lies, because and you'll probably relate to this, and people in school and the workplace, they're kind of, because I know I have a bunch of friends that consistently lie, but I used to be kind of like that, so I'd tell little white lies and I wouldn't really think about it a lot, and then that kind of builds up, and then you have more confidence to make bigger lies. And it was only until I kind of had a conversation with someone and I caught myself and I was thinking,
shit, I said this.
Yeah, because it's like your whole value structure kind of shifts, and if you're telling other people lies, you're telling yourself lies, and the whole direction of your life could be kind of misconstrued, or people's perceptions of you in the long term might be disorientated, and
eventually no one will take you seriously.
Exactly.
It's just like, even if maybe, I don't know if you ever experienced this, you had friends around you that were like, oh, my dad knows David Beckham, or my dad... Do you know what I mean, though?
Or like Jay off in between.
Oh, sorry!
Like the bullshitter, really.
Yeah.
But they're like, eventually, so say like every week they come into school and they're like, oh, my dad met Ronaldinho, or that, that kind of thing. And every week they've come in with a new lie.
Yeah.
But first off, you believe it, and then you realise this can't be happening.
No.
Eventually, they'll come to you with such a serious topic and be like, oh, my dad had a car accident, oh, I need some money, kind of thing.
You'd be like, whatever.
You'd be like, off.
Yeah.
But you'll be like, well, no, you lied so much that I'm not going to believe you. That's like the boy who cried wolf, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and their words are devalued.
Yeah,
and I think the way around this is like, for yourself, if you are the person telling lies, just like really, really make a conscious effort to tell the truth. And if you feel like you're going to tell a lie, just don't speak at all. Just shut yourself up. That's how I kind of dealt with it. And like, I tell the truth to as much as I can to anyone about anything. I try not to. I mean, I exaggerate things.
Yeah,
because
that's different.
That's different. But lying is really destructive. And if you don't nip it in the bud, then it can really hurt people.
Also get caught in your own lies. Like, say you start off saying a white lie, but say a month down the line someone questions this again,
and you'll forget,
that you've lied about it, and you tell another lie to cover the first lie.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're going to get caught out that there's a stream of lies here.
Karma.
I can't believe anything you say.
It's karma, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm watching Suits at the moment. I don't know if you've ever seen
Suits,
it.
Yeah.
I'm rewatching it. I've seen it quite a few times, but there's this episode where there's a guy called Jeff Malone. I don't know if you know, the black guy. And Jess is... I don't know if this is a spoiler for people, but it's actually... This has been out for ages.
Spoiler,
anyway.
skip if you want.
Skip. This is a Suits spoiler, disclaimer. Skip to another 2 minutes and you'll not hear it. Basically, Jessica wants to tell Jeff about Mike being a fraud, but instead of telling him, she realises, let me tell him a lie and tell him the reason we employed Lewis back again, because this is when he got fired. The reason we employed him back again is actually because of embezzlement.
Right.
So there was the embezzlement case with Daniel Hardman. So she lies to Jeff Malone and said that we brought him back for this reason. And then a few episodes later, this lie comes back on her. She goes to Jeff Malone's house and tries to confront him and say that I want to tell you the truth about Mike. But the night before, Jeff went out for drinks with Lewis, and Lewis kind of slipped up about the lie that Jess told about the embezzlement.
Yeah.
And now Jeff is in a position where he doesn't believe anything Jessica says.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah,
like,
because it devalues everything that person
so
says.
now I can't believe anything
so
you
don't
say.
have any respect for that person.
Exactly.
And I think if you're the one telling lies and stuff, you're always trying to cover your tracks, and you're always got a sense of
tiptoeing
you're
around.
just tiptoeing, and that's just not a way to live.
No.
And people will respect you, and your life will take a good direction if you're telling the truth. Because if you're telling the truth to other people, like I said, you're telling the truth to yourself.
It's just honesty.
And then what your real intentions and what you want will come out, and people will respect that. So just don't lie, really.
Okay. We're on the last one, I think. This is...
and if you're on the receiving end of someone telling a lie, tell them they're telling a lie.
Yeah, catch them out on it.
Catch them.
And more times than not, they might get choked up and try and defend themselves, but at least you're in a position you know what's what. Like, you know,
you got to just slap them on the wrist like a bad child. You know, I mean, not saying you should hit kids, but like, you know, just give them a slap on the wrist and just say, listen, mate, I know you're lying.
Why are you lying?
It's okay. Don't worry. I'm not going to judge you. Just tell me, because you're saying this when it's actually this.
And you'll have more respect for that person, and they will respect you enough to know that, he's acknowledging what I'm saying now.
Yeah, and just be really, comforting.
Transparent.
Yeah, and just say, like, I know I've been in your position. What's up? Why are you saying this? And turn it into a joke or something. But because if you let someone do this consistently, it can snowball into something more catastrophic and damaging. So yeah.
So just don't lie. Be honest.
Don't be a dick.
Be honest. This is the last one on this website.
I will read this one. So it's called The Tank. A tank crushes everything in its wake. A human tank is always right, doesn't take anyone else's feelings or ideas into account, and constantly puts himself first. This kind of sounds like the other ones a little bit. In a relationship,
like a sum up.
Yeah, in a relationship, tanks are incredibly arrogant, and their personal opinions as facts. All these ones that we're listing are kind of narcissists.
Yeah, there's a form of narcissism in every single
one. This is because they often think they are the smartest person in the room, narcissist, so they see every conversation and person as a challenge that must be won over. They rarely see others as equals, and this can be challenging when trying to form a loving connection. If you feel your ideas are being run over or you're not being respected, get out while you still can. I mean, it kind of says it all, really. Get out and don't bother with them if they don't respect you.
I think this kind of person is just a build-up of all the other 6 people we've just mentioned.
It summarises everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if you are amongst this kind of person who's basically disacknowledging everything that you say, sometimes you just can't help people. Yeah. And if they are like this, they know it. They're aware of how they're being. They just want control. Just walk away.
I would say walking away is the smartest thing to do. But if you're in a position to not walk away from that person, you then have the obligation to, because it says on here that that person, they think that, because I'm dealing with someone with this right now. I wouldn't say who it is, but they are arrogant and they're personal. They think what they say is fact, right? What they say is fact, and other people will believe what they say is fact.
Because they have such an impact.
Because they have such a... They're normally quite good with words, and how they state certain things makes them look intellectual. But the best way to deal with this person is go to someone else or go to them and just kind of say, well, here's the evidence for this. What do you have to say about that you can't get away from it? And they'll try and dance around it and stuff. And if they do dance around it, them, bin them.
Yeah,
There's no point.
Exactly. And you can only help someone as much as they allow you to help them. So if this person, like Sam just said, like you just said, if they don't listen to you and the only way you see about getting around it is talking to someone else and basically making them realise what type of person this person is, then do it. And that will save so many people, because this person won't be able to control anyone anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go to someone else and kind of give them the information, they might come back to you and say, either A, I didn't know this, or B, I did know this, stay away from that person, or C, like, I don't really care what you think. But at the end of the day, like, you are walking away.
I think the biggest take as well is, even if you tell someone or you speak to someone, please don't expect anything.
No.
Because they might not react how you want them to. Like you just gave 3 options. Some people will know about it, some people won't know about it, and some people won't care.
Yeah.
And they'll just let people do whatever they want. Not everyone is on the same level-headed path as you.
Yeah.
So say if you find something that's toxic to you, somebody else might think, I don't give a shit, so let them get on with it. So don't expect anything from people. No, like we just said, no one owes you anything. So if they want to be like that, just walk away, just let them get on with it.
Life's, like, I think we should just summarise and end it here. Like, life's too short for assholes.
Exactly.
You don't have to put up with it, and if they are being assholes to you, there's a good chance that they're being abusive, whether they know it or not. You need to kind of walk away and respect yourself. Don't put up with people like this.
And if it's the type of person that is a minimum amount of toxic that you can, maybe I'll just put up with it for now, and I can wriggle my way around it. Maybe you don't have to walk away. Maybe you can just be the mature person, the bigger person, and just let them get on with it. And you know yourself, you're a good person, and this could in reflection be good karma for you. And you'll be like, the more you let it like just carry on, they might even acknowledge it themselves.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, like, if you are stuck in an environment with that person for a set amount of time, it will develop your emotional strength and stability. Like, well, if it's for a short amount of time, that is, and like, you begin to, if you realise what this person's trying to do, and you'll kind of have like a respect for yourself. If you kind of back away from it, don't take things to heart, you'll have like a more of a shell to deal with people like that in your life.
You get thicker skin as well.
That's what I mean.
The more you can handle, the little things just won't bother you anymore, and you won't feel too emotionally invested with a new person that's come in your group that's toxic, because you'll have experienced it before, and you'll be like, well, I know how to approach this type of person, so I'm not going to worry about it. So I think we should cap this off with this is quite cool here. So it's like how to know if a person is toxic, or shall I say maybe a little bit narcissistic. So what they've got here is you have to consistently save this person or fix their problems. You are covering up or hiding from them. You dread seeing them. You feel drained after being with them. You get angry, sad, or depressed when you're around them, or maybe if you're like thinking of them. They cause you to gossip or be mean. You feel you have to impress them. You're affected by their drama or problems. They ignore your needs and don't hear you say no, essentially. So the world is full of people that are not like that, and you just don't need to put up with it. Exactly. And the biggest thing is just think about yourself. Put yourself first. If you are coming across these kind of people and they are making you feel this way, the things that Sam's just listed, you deserve it to yourself to give yourself that sense of freedom away from them. And if someone's making you feel depressed, angry, sad all the time, and there's no positive vibes when you're with them, there's no value to that person in your life. That you don't need them.
Even if it's your parents, your parents, or your brothers or sisters. Like, keep a distance from it at least. Like, just
you're not obligated to keep anyone in your life that is making you feel a certain type of way. There's no rules. Like, you've got to make your own standards, and if someone's not meeting your standards, you've got to do something about it.
Either tell them or walk away, or if you have the emotional strength to do with it, and put up with it for the time being. But you don't have to be treated like that by those people, and I think we'll call it there. Let's
finish that off. I do want to say, I think we want to at some point do a question and answer kind of video or podcast even. But we do want you guys to tell us what you do like, what you don't like. Have we spoken too much? Is there something that you want us to change? But all your feedback is really like helpful for us, because it determines like how well we do and what we do in our podcasts.
And even if the feedback is like really savage that it's helpful.
Yeah,
it's helpful.
Even if it's stuff like you telling us, oh, you need to stop stuttering, or you need to stop, just tell us what you feel.
Yeah.
We're here to eventually become better at this, and we want to help people. And we say this all the time, we're not doing this for ourselves. We want to be that kind of that door where people can realise they can talk about their feelings, and we are just two guys literally just talking, and we want especially we want guys to be able to talk amongst their friends, talk to each other and talk about their problems, because you don't want to let this build up. And even recently, I think maybe I should mention this, I don't know if you've seen, do you know Dr. Alex from Love Island?
No.
Basically he was one of the contestants on Love Island. I didn't really watch it that much, but his brother recently died. He took his own life, and
everyone's dying from those shows.
But this was a brother of this guy, so he was like 18 years old. I can't remember how old. And I'm very sorry that someone's had to go through this, but people are dying every day from committing suicide, from not talking about their problems, and we need to offer them a way out, and suicide is not the way out.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and it's not the best way to go. And
so like I think we said, we've got the highlight pages on our Instagram for hotlines. If you want to talk to anyone, there's a number of hotlines there for you to contact. There's a number of organisations: Calm, Rethink Mental Health, Samaritans. Have a look at that. If you feel like you need to talk to someone and don't want it to be one of your friends, our Instagram is JustMatesPod. Same with our Twitter as well.
Facebook,
YouTube, all of our socials are under that. So I've been Nafees.
I've been Sam.
And this is Just Mates. See you later.
See you, bye.
Bye.